Thanks for watching again today, and decided to give a few minutes out to give you a quick review on the latest addition to the twin troller. I did this a little more expensive than I would have loved to have done, but I do think it adds a bit of ergonomics and ease and improvement to fishing. I've just taken this out one time thus far, and was pleased with it, and I think I'll continue to be pleased with it. Had a few concerns. Anytime you buy something new and it costs more than a couple bucks, you should have cause to scrutinize it and review and research it. Try to not to waste your money, and I think this has been a sound investment. And there aren't a lot of ways as far as the mount goes that you can cut cost. It's got to all be Scotty, from that base to this arm to that pedestal mount. And you can do cheaper ways of doing this, but I really think this is the most adjustable and stable way to do this at a somewhat reasonable cost. And somewhat reasonable cost here for the whole mounting setup, that's going to be about 60 bucks grand total for the whole thing. And then I also got a new little depth finder here, Garmin. It's also got very, very basic GPS. When I say basic, there is no map. You can mark a lot of stuff on there, which is appealing to me, especially when you're in real stained water. You can maybe keep from hitting the same stob in a channel or somewhat deep area time and time again. Once you get stuck on it once, you can mark it and maybe avoid that in the future when you got the map feature going and you're not focused on the depth finder. And I do think depth finder, even if you are fishing ponds, 3-5 acres, is a useful tool. I've used this just the other day in a pond I fished for decades, and it showed me some things I didn't realize as far as the deepest part of that pond, and some areas weren't as deep as I thought they were. So adding this onto a twin troller or a similar sized pontoon frame boat, I definitely think it's something worth considering. And you can adjust this pretty darn well, any configuration you want to. It's very useful. And so total cost in this whole setup, from the depth finder to this whole mounting setup, $200 roughly. And you are going to have to do some things if you decide to rig it up this way like I did. I suggest strongly blue Loctite on the screws. You are going to have to get some new, I should say, little bolts and nuts for this thing, because they plan on you screwing it down onto the boat itself. So that's a little different configuration. If you get it wired up like I did on my boat, you're probably going to need to have some additional wiring to hook it up. Even if you don't need that additional wiring, you are going to need to have some connector points for the batteries, whatever way you want to set them up, and a crimping tool to do that. It just doesn't come with that. The reason this one I don't feel too terrible about spending a fairly significant amount of money for it, not just ergonomics and the way it views, but this thing is pretty darn solid. And I can't, the way this thing locks in here, you have to twist this to pull it up out here. It's not going to accidentally come loose. It's just not going to happen. You're going to have to force that thing out of there after you twist that locking point on there. And for this base, I actually need to use a little force pulling straight up right from that base to get it adjusted and moved even, much less I have to twist it a certain way to pull it out of there. So I'm not worried about driving down the road and hitting a bunch of potholes and this popping out of here. Also, on the back end of this thing, you can just screw right in to the boat if you want to. You do that if you want to. Not saying you're doing anything wrong. I prefer this. I didn't do it exactly like Jerry did, twin troller guy. A lot of you already know him. But I did it sort of like he did. Mine's a little looser though. So this thing can pop right out of here if it runs into anything. And it's going to run into stuff. I just fish shallow a lot and hit stobs a lot. It's not going to happen all the dang time, but it's going to happen. So this can pop up and no harm. I can just push it right back down and go right back into business. So I took this whole rail off. I packed the wiring into it and screwed it back into place. That's how I did the wiring on it. Of course, like I said, you need those adapters for your batteries. You need a crimper tool to get them in place. And for me, I needed a little more wiring than this thing came for wiring the power. There's tons and tons of wiring already in place for the transponder. But hope this is informative, helpful to some of you that might be sitting on the fence as to whether to get one of these Scotty mounts. And if you guys are interested in me going a little more in-depth over this depth finder in the future, let me know. I don't think you're going to. There are a lot of other good videos out already on that, but if you want it, I'll look at getting it to you later on. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing, hit that bell, and have a blessed day.